Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of the Jam and Cheese Show. Cheese, welcome back. Looking good in those Bunnies colours, as hard it is for me to say that.
Why is that hard for you to say?
It's not a, generally speaking, bit of rivalry there with South. With no justification, that's like what sports do to you, mate. I don't know. Just
you hate Sammy Burgess, that's why.
Don't hate Sammy Burgess. I didn't like him when he played for South. Just like obviously the big rivalry when I was playing at the Dogs between us and Souths. And
didn't you break his cheekbone? That wasn't nice.
That happened. I was okay, by the way.
What happened to you?
Well, no one bothered to ask.
Well, I just asked.
Hairline fracture.
No, don't say that.
No, I'm only joking. No.
Yes, please don't start.
No. I was fine.
But yes, the weekend was good. Went to the game. Went on the bus with the boys, seeing how everyone. Mate, they had these dangerous chicken snitty wraps at the before the game. They're only halves, so I would have had 3 wraps in total. So I had 6 halves.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah. How's the first week been?
No, it's been awesome. It's been, mate, just enjoying it a lot. Like, having so much fun. There's a lot of larrikins at that club, so Jairo is the name that comes to mind. But yeah, it's just it's a different feel or different vibe to the other club. Just around the sheds and stuff, it's a lot more laid back. Meetings and stuff are laid back. So,
and obviously we're heading into round 12. You're scheduled to be back round 16. Is that roughly?
That was the Roosters schedule. I had some testing today done at, I think it's called Pitch Ready, and they strap you up, and I was annoyed because every time I do like a testing, they do like NFL and obviously NBA and stuff like that, and she'd tell me like what the record was for the NFL or the NBA, and I would be like 30% of the way there.
So what is it? What sort of testing? Like just for your knee strength? Or?
So they do like single leg squat, like on the board, how deep you can go on both legs. It's just a comparison to each leg pretty much, and your reactive jump, then your sprint mechanics. They like put all these. It's almost like, you know how people make video games and you got all those
yes,
sort of like that, and they've got all these camera things around you and you run through them and it'll track like your exoskeleton sort of movement, so see what the difference is.
Is that just because you're at South that's what they do, or is that specifically for your knee?
No, that was specifically for me because they haven't been through the journey the whole time, so they don't know exactly where I'm at, but that pretty much will tell them exactly where I'm at. Right,
so what do you reckon? Because round 16...
If I had it my way, I'd be playing next week. Like, I feel like my knee feels that good.
And you're basically doing full training now, aren't you?
Yeah, I haven't done contact and stuff. Like, I'm not running into blokes, so that'll be the next side of things.
Right.
I think that test would be a good indication of...
It's stable.
Yeah, I can do everything.
But it's just getting contact through...
Oh, it's just, your body's got to be reconditioned to tackling 120 kilo blokes.
So is that for your knee in particular, or is that for...
No, that's for everything else.
Everything else.
My knee is good. Prepping my body to be able to So like I've got to hit a quota of kilometers, like where I can go, like I can hit without any issue, and I haven't got to that point yet. But like, I think the round 16 is the I'm meant to be back by then.
Yeah,
that's 9 months, but. Obviously, it's up to the Bunnies whether we play or not, or whether I play or not. It's but like if it was my choice, I'll be starting contact tomorrow. Like I'd be getting my body battle hardened.
Yeah,
and then I'll be playing 2 weeks later. If it was my choice, but it's not my choice. But my knee, I'm confident in it to be able to play.
Why don't you grow some balls then and just tell them what you're gonna do?
No,
you're scared
because I'm not a doctor, Jimmy. My brain tells me I can do a lot of things that I probably shouldn't be.
Mind over matter. Jeez. Just say, look, lads, I'm here. I'm playing. Stop me.
Yeah. I might just play after the Canberra game because those are the bastards that done my knee. So
Whitehead's not there though anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They still got some dopes. Corey Horsburgh, he'll probably do something like that. Dopey bastard. See, I can say that stuff because he's my friend. Right?
Is he a friend?
We played together in Cowboys under 20s. I've said this many times. He's a nerdy gamer. And he doesn't.
Is he? He doesn't look that.
I think now he's a father, man. He's a father, and he's turned a leaf.
He is a bit mad.
Yeah,
he's a bit mad, which I do enjoy. Origin teams are out. Geez, probably fortuitously for the Brisbane Broncos because that performance yesterday, the microscope is and the pressure is going to be on them. But we'll touch on the teams first. New South Wales, probably the big talking point. Moses or Luai. Moses wins that race. So 2 sevens in the halves, or 2 genuine sevens. Moses, can play 6. What do you make of that combination?
I think it's probably the deserved positions. I don't know about the combination and what they go, because obviously we've never seen them play together. But if they can both play at their best, they're going to be a very destructive team, and it definitely alleviates a lot of pressure off of Nathan on last tackle. You'd think that Mitch Moses would be doing a lot of the kicking, but then you've got Nathan Cleary on the other side who can just pretty pinpoint with his stuff. So it gives him a dual kicking threat, whereas Luai is more of that short kicking game, sort of number 6. And I think it's quite a dangerous prospect. And the only thing you worry is who's the caller, because in the team there's always one dominant
Cleary.
caller. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But will it be easy for Moses just to sit back and let that happen?
I think when I'm looking at that combination, and obviously with Isaiah Yeo in there, the captain, I think they'll have to play differently to how Penrith are playing, where obviously Isaiah a lot of the time will take the ball and then give it to Cleary in space out the back. I think we'll see personally a lot more 6 to 7 or 7 to 6 in the interchange.
Cleary plays on the left-hand side?
He pops up all over the field, really. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
But
I see a lot of...
sorry, go on.
I see a lot of their shape starting on the right-hand side and going to the left through Yo.
Yeah.
And then if they're going to the right-hand side, I feel like it'll be more... Moses will be dominant on the ball.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. Probably Moses is going to have to take a bit of a back seat and let Nathan do his thing. But obviously Moses was the instigator and the chief playmaker in that history-defining victory up in Suncorp last year. So
that's what I mean. Is he capable of taking a back seat? And if he is, will that affect his game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the mindset, obviously the build-up going into the game, but then actually in the thick of it, just knowing that it's okay. Because
that's what Luai was so good at. He's just so good at adapting to his team around him.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
A big call to leave Luai out, and you forget just what he brings to that Origin arena in terms of his ability to get under people's skin, his competitiveness as well. And that's nothing against Mitch, but like Jerome, when you look back specifically at the series last year, he was enormous for New South Wales. Obviously Mitch was the main man, but Luai wasn't far behind him.
No, I agree.
A couple of other big things. It appears as though Payne Haas has passed his fitness test, which is huge news for him. Max King coming on to the interchange bench. He's sort of leapfrogged a couple of players there. That's basically off the back of his defensive work. I think Laurie Daly spoke about a couple of big defensive plays that Max King has been involved in that has got him this Origin jersey. And that comes down to, I think, the Bulldogs' defensive system. And what he can do defensively. I think that trust element. I think it's the same with Liero coming in from the Melbourne Storm. Billy Slater, he'd know that system well, and maybe that decision with poor Tommy Gilbert going down. Like, do you go Horsburgh, who's a bit more erratic, or Liero, who has that defensive system mindset? So, but with Max King coming in, everybody at the Bulldogs delighted for him. He deserves it. He's earned this spot. But that said, the attention instantly goes to Terrell May, who...
That's what I kind of like about the Max King selection at the moment, though, is not many people have kicked up a fuss about like Max King selection. It's more so Terrell May's not selection.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen a lot of like bad media press about it being Max King that's in the team. But obviously with Terrell May and the mammoth performance he had on yesterday, he probably deserved the spot. But it's so tough being a New South Wales front rower because they're so stacked.
Yeah.
Like Yo and Haas are locks. You know what I mean? And I mean lock as in locked in, completely locked in. But yeah, I'm so happy for Max King, and I believe he does deserve to be there. So I believe Terrell May deserves to be there as well, but it was the flip of the coin, you know what I mean?
Well, before Laurie Daly announced his team, we knew stars were going to miss out. Like Tommy Turbo, not in that back line. There's no room for Turbo based off current injury situation and probably with that injury, he's not been able to excel at his usual level. But people go, no, put him back in the Origin arena and he'll do what he's always done for the state. But just on the form of Lomax's return was amazing. Brian Toto, obviously that yardage carrying two wingers that have only played one game of football each in quite some time. That maybe is a bit of a risk. But just back to Terrell May. Obviously, for the middle forwards, between the two starting front rowers, the lock forward, there's only 240 minutes to go around. So, do you think the fact that Terrell needs minutes to make the impact, like he's amazing for the Tigers, and by doing what he does, it allows people like Fanua Bole to come on and make an impact. So, do you think that it's probably just the style of play of Terrell May he's in too much competition with Yo and with Haas that are those longer minute middle forwards that he just can't get ahead of them. It's not that he's not, I guess, the second best prop or the third best prop or for New South Wales. It's the fact that it's his style and his ability to get a hold of a game. What he requires to impact the game is already taken care of.
Yeah, well, he's currently top 5, if not top 3, best props in the comp.
Yeah.
Like that's a fact, and it's just hard because he's probably sitting behind the people that play the exact same similar position as him, like as in the long minutes. Like he's behind the top 2. With Yo and Haas. Yeah. Throw Carrigan in there as well, but he's not New South Wales. But it's just an unfortunate situation because you need someone who's going to come off the bench as well that's going to just bring spark the light up, and exactly why Spencer Leniu was picked. But yeah, 63 tackles, no misses.
That's some effort.
That's it's a tough situation, and I don't know if his mouth probably got him.
Nah, see, mate, obviously.
Yeah, but I've seen people talk, like I've seen Brad Fittler who would have a say in that team selection. Like I've seen him, not rubbish, but I've seen him talk about how disrespectful what he said was. And if that's not gone through the Origin camp on what he said, then I feel like it's just that could have played quite a vital role in the whole selection.
Is that like referring to it came up on his Twitch channel and he basically said, "Oh, look."
Yeah, it was a very like throwaway comment.
Yeah.
Like obviously he feels upset, but some people don't. Some people don't really take jokes at all.
Yeah. Look, obviously you know him very well. I was beyond impressed when I spoke to him on the bar round. Like, he seems like a magnificent young man that is very proud of who he is, doesn't matter or particularly care about what other people think. Got an incredibly strong will and mindset, and isn't afraid to do things differently. Even like him speaking publicly about the fact he did a 72-hour fast the week of the Melbourne game, like to get it to cleanse his body, and he doesn't drink alcohol. So it's like I was almost like, whoa, like, but that's just it seems like that's his way of doing things. It's just I'll tell you whatever I want. Like I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Like I'm an open book kind of thing.
Yeah, he's definitely an open book. Like he doesn't hide anything back, and he says what comes to his mind, and he's just like that. And he doesn't fit the mold of certain people. You know what I mean? Like he's different to other people. He's funny, and I loved having him as a teammate because he's fucking hilarious. Because he does say whatever he wants, and he speaks his mind, and those are my kind of people. But like he just didn't quite fit that mold of maybe a Roosters player. I probably don't fit the mold as well, like off the field or like the way we go about it, talk and stuff like that. There's a certain mold, and I feel like it's well accepted at the Tigers, and it's definitely well accepted.
But like, is Terrell May saying anything or doing anything that's like should be of concern?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Don't worry. I've been as stumped as you.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's not presenting himself as like a rogue.
No, he's not.
He's just doing things differently to I guess the status quo.
People don't like that.
But like
that's what I mean. Like that's not the same mold as every other footy player. Like he streams, he vlogs, he does things that he lets people into his life that people probably, don't get to see on other people. But that's not the footy. That's like not the traditional footy way. Like it's usually
Like look for me the vlogging stuff. Like personally, I wouldn't. I know obviously a podcast and stuff, but we're talking about the game as opposed to life, and we have a bit of banter before about what you've been up to on the weekend or whatever. But
but he doesn't drink.
And that's my point.
He doesn't do that naughty stuff.
Yeah, he's not the character off the field that's like the party boy that you go, geez, are we going to rein him in?
But he's still a larrikin as well. Like so like he's funny. He's very like got a lot of jokes, and it's just he does things differently. He's just a different he doesn't really. It's hard to explain. He doesn't really care what people think.
Yeah,
like that's literally it. Doesn't really care what people think about him.
Yeah,
and that's people don't like that.
But to be fair, I don't think he could do much more, other than be selfish and change how he plays to get a spot in Origin, which would mean being a 40-minute, 45-minute front rower, which at the moment the Tigers don't need. But if he wanted to, if his pure goal was to play State of Origin, it would be completely change how he plays. But what he's doing for the.
But this is the thing, Jimmy. He's done that role. Yeah. He's done that role. He played off the bench for Roosters for 2 years, and that's what got him a big contract at the Tigers. He wasn't the starting prop. He wasn't. He's played the role of. He's played the role of 35, 40-minute front rower. He's just playing these big minutes and doing these massive stats because he has to at Tigers.
Yeah,
like he's the front rower, but he has to play that role. And people think, that's the only thing he can do. Like Spencer's not even doing the bench role for Roosters. He's starting. Like I feel like for me, he's not in the team unfairly. I feel like he deserves a spot in that team.
One thing's for sure, like it's disappointing on a personal level for Terrell May, but the Tigers benefit.
Yeah,
like
that's all they need.
Hugely benefit, and with Luai not making the team as well, like you've got to assume that those two are going to be. Oh well, actually, like do you think this would drive Terrell May to want to go even further, or like can he play any better? I don't know if he can, but the benefactors of this omission are the Tigers, 100%.
for sure. I don't know if it will like drive him to want to be like. I think he'll just do his normal self.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I think he'll continue to play the way he does. It won't make him angry, or it won't make him like feel worse.
He'll just keep doing.
He'll just keep. And I feel like Luai's quite the same.
Yeah.
Like those two are just guys that don't really care what like the opinions of others unless you're inside their circle.
Yeah. Well, it's a strong-looking New South Wales team that will be favourites, strangely, on
you would think they'd be big favourites.
Well, mainly due to the injury catastrophe for Queensland. So Tommy Gilbert with that pec injury, geez, you've got to feel for him. Cobbo injured, Murray Talangi injured. So Coach Slater was in a predicament of the back line, and the depth has been tested. He could have gone the experience way and the safe way with Dane Gegai or Kurt Capewell playing in the centres. Now, I know Capewell would maybe get the pace isn't there, and Gegai is a 300-game veteran now, but he's gone with 10 games of NRL experience, and Robert Toia, who we've seen glimpses of. He's actually faced Latrell at centre, which he will do again on Wednesday evening or a week Wednesday. What do you make of that call from Slater to go with the inexperience and really a gamble, because you don't quite know what you're going to get, at least with Dane Gegai. You know what you're going to get at home in Queensland at Suncorp. Every time he puts that jersey on, he seems to...
The Gegai switch?
Yes. Obviously, Coach Slater will have deliberated over this, but what do you make of that call? Because I'm a bit surprised. As delighted as you are for the youngster, it is an eye-catching selection.
Yeah. Well, I'm a bit biased because I've attentively been watching Robert Toia play, whereas Gegai, I haven't been all in watching Newcastle Knights play footy lately.
You've probably done a good thing there, because they struggle to watch at the moment.
And I get what he's doing, and he could be blooding a young fella in, and it's a scary thought that a 10-game player is going to be playing up against Latrell Mitchell in the centres. But I know Robert, and I know he's got an incredible skill set, an incredible mindset, and his ability to want to learn and learn and learn. But this is a whole nother level. This is...
Well, even you saying that, Cheese, that a lot of young players want to learn, but what you don't want to do is find out those lessons at Suncorp Stadium in a State of Origin game.
Mate, if I know his potential,
and
if I was to say he's going to give what I think his potential is, he deserves to be there, and he deserves to be up against Latrell like that. But that's on potential. He's played 10 games, like you said. I think he can do a job, but he needs to be perfect this week.
Yeah.
And he needs to be perfect in the game, because you're coming up against a guy that's in great nick, great form, and in the centres, he's a bloody destructive human being. So
it's a scary proposition.
Mate, I wouldn't want to be out there.
Yeah.
But,
that is Latrell Mitchell at centre is someone that can really break the game open with one run.
Yeah.
One touch. We talk about Terrell May needing multiple receives. Latrell needs one.
He's a guy that can win you a game in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If he wants to, if he gets the opportunity to, he can win a game in 10 minutes. He can take away your confidence. I'm a Queenslander. But it's going to be a mammoth task. But to say would I pick him or not would be hard to say, and if Billy made the right choice or not, because Billy Slater's the smartest footballer I know, hands down smartest game planning mind of a rugby league I've ever seen. He basically run the show at Melbourne. He's still doing it. And on the Trent Liero selection, Billy would be working with Trent a lot.
Yeah.
Like he comes, he's very active at Melbourne. I don't know about now, but when he was retired and I was there, he was very active. He was always at training, so he knows what he's going to get from Trent Liero. But yeah, Rob Toia, he's putting a lot of trust in Trent Robinson and the, what do you call it? The sort of disciplines that he's learnt at Roosters, and like I've never ever said anything bad about the Roosters and their coaching. Like they know exactly what they're doing. So it's a big task, and if Billy Slater thinks he can see something in Rob Toya's game that makes him deserve a spot, then I'm going to put my trust in Billy Slater because he knows his shit.
On the Queensland team, for me, the three most important players: Munster, Grant, Tino. If those three play well and impactful, I think Queensland can win it. Yeah. That's what it's going to come down to. It's interesting. The other two spine.
Who's on the bench? Sorry,
they got Dearden, Collins, Fairmore.
I'm more worried about that predicament than
you're worried about the bench.
Yeah, I'm worried about Harry. Hasn't played much at 80 minutes lately. He's not fit as hell, but how's the body going to hold up?
Yeah, in
Origin. Like this is Origin, and for people that don't know Origin, it's the best football you'll ever watch. Like some of the best football.
I hope it brings out the best in Kalen Ponga, who's probably not had his best season. He's not been given many opportunities there at the Knights. I think I'm looking forward to seeing his impact in a really good team, and also Cherry Evans. Like he's not had a great year likely for non-football related reasons, but if Munster and Grant play well, I think we'll see the best out of those two as well. And then obviously last year, no Munster, no Tino. Like Tino makes such a difference to that forward pack.
Oh yeah, Petty Jurgen and Tino.
Yeah,
they go par and par with Payne Haas and Isaiah Yeo.
Obviously, interesting to see Liero in ahead of Horsburgh. I think you spoke before about Billy's connection to the Melbourne Storm system. But one thing that's kind of annoyed me is Kurt Mann being named 18th man, meaning he can't play for the Bulldogs this week. And it's not because it's the Bulldogs, but basically he's 18th man. So, look, there could be a couple of HIAs and he gets brought into the game. But you're telling me that they couldn't have picked somebody from a team with a bye as 18th man?
Yeah, but it's an important pick.
Yeah, but geez, mate, if Kurt Mann plays Thursday for the Dogs, could he not just go back into camp and then be 18th man on the Wednesday?
Yeah, he could.
Like, I don't understand as a game why we're doing this, but...
Well,
anyway.
I didn't know that predicament. I didn't know there was playing Thursday, then the Origin... Yeah. Like, he could just take a day off the camp.
Yeah, because the other players that are in the squad, I think Finia Fuaki and Jesse Arthurs, they'll go...
but also, he gets 30 grand. What's he picking? Because I think the 18th man, they get... Actually, I know they get the full payment.
Do they?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Whether they get on the field or not. So be happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him in that sense, but I just wish he could play for the Dogs. And that it's happened to the Dogs before when...
Who are the Dogs playing?
We've got the Dolphins on Thursday. It happened with Matt Burton, and he was 18th man. He couldn't play. It's just like, come on, guys. Like, just let him play and then let him be 18th man.
But it is an important position because the Origins are ruthless these days. Like, you just look at Reece Walsh getting knocked out.
Yeah, I get it.
That was
I get it.
10 minutes.
I do get it, Cheese. But it's going to be a hell of a game one. Like at Suncorp as well.
I don't think I've ever been... I always say that, but I don't think I've ever been so excited for it. I love Origin, honestly. Like just the whole vibe, everything. The lead up, all of it. I love it.
All the little subplots that are happening.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Can't wait for the cheeky stabs.
The media vibe.
Yeah, the
media jabs. Yeah. There's going to be plenty of media jabs. There's going to be all sorts happening. It's day one of camp. I was actually down at New South Wales camp doing a few interviews. I feel a bit bad.
Going for the vice coaching role?
No, just
assistant coach role?
No, just to grab a few really hard-hitting questions with a few New South Wales players. Yeah, I've changed.
Who did you get?
We got Dylan Edwards, Liam Martin, Crichton, Max King. Can't remember who else now. Zachy Lomax, Reece Robson. So, geez, Dragon fans would be hating there. Reece Robson and Zach Lomax. Two players they had in their wings. But yes, our origin is set up nicely. I think Queensland are going to have to tap into that spirit. They've got to win game one.
Yeah. They always tap into that spirit, mate.
They have to win game one. On the game yesterday, for the Tigers against Souths, you're mentioning Lachie Galvin and the treatment of him. You said,
mate, so when we went to the game, like even when they called his name out, like I feel sorry for him, mate. I feel like he must be going through a lot.
Yeah,
like, I don't think he'd be happy. I don't think it won't come out in his footy. You know what I mean? That's speculation, but his name got read out when they were calling the team list out over the big thing. He got booed. He got sent for 10. They cheered and then booed when he got through when he was going up the tunnel. Mate, 19-year-old kid. Having to deal with that. Then he would come out onto the exercise bike. He was getting people would like throwing jab comments on him, and the boos weren't from Rabbitohs fans. You know what I mean? It was like I feel like the Tigers, and I know they need him, but they'd be doing him a disservice as a human being if he wanted a release and they're not allowing it, just because I could only put myself in those shoes and see how I know I would feel so upset.
Yeah, at 19,
and you're not going to be able to play your best football.
Yeah, it's a tough one on Galvin and where the club stand with it. Reading between the lines and hearing around the traps, I can't see him being at the club next season. I know they've said that they're not going to give him an early release. At time of recording, I believe a board meeting is underway at the Tigers, where the future of Lachie Galvin is being discussed. I genuinely can't see him being there next year. I think, as tough as that may be, and if he is, I still think they.
Yeah, but for me, whether him wanting to leave is the right or wrong thing, or them being outspoken about it, he is a human being. He's a 19-year-old football player he could be a superstar with the potential, and the way he's being treated at the moment, or the way he'd be feeling, it's not sort of right.
Well, I think where he's been treated, fans are entitled to let their feelings be known, but he's on the receiving end, and like you say, he's a human being at the end of the day. But I think things could have been handled in a much better fashion from both parties, both Galvin and the football club.
Exactly.
With this whole saga, and I don't think anybody comes out of this as a winner. Galvin, gets his release, but there's going to be some, that I guess reputation damage in terms of how this has been handled. And I think the Tigers would look back and go, we perhaps mismanaged this situation. If we were given our time over again, may have done things a little bit differently. But again, it's hard to see him there after this year. We'll review a bit of that game a little bit later on, but the Broncos, just before State of Origin, just before a bye, again, they lose. So I think they've lost 5 of their last 6 now. They are. I was at that game. It was, first off, in terms of a game, it was an absolute pleasure to witness 2 teams that are outside the 8, or down the bottom end. Broncos down the bottom end of the 8. The Dragons trying to force their way in. What a contest it was. It was so entertaining. A great advert for football when you consider some of the games that came before it. The Dogs against the Roosters, that was an epic game. Storm against Cronulla. And those two were fantastic, but the game of the round belonged to the Dragons against the Broncos. Mate, Broncos out to a 12-point lead.
Better than the Bulldogs Roosters.
Mate, yeah. I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was. Oh.
But the Bulldogs, team.
Yeah, I know, but I just think for the neutral, the entertainment factor at Suncorp Stadium, Sunday afternoon, and all the things that are going on at Brisbane, like this is the car crash people love to watch. Unfortunately, as sick as we are as human beings, people do like watching this. But the Broncos, Ezra Mam, where this game would have been without Ezra is, the Broncos can't bear to think about. They were out to a 12-point lead, lucky forward pass that got them one of those tries as well. And then they just couldn't close it out, and they just kept allowing the Dragons back into the contest. And then, obviously, you were on the team bus, so you didn't see this, but Dragons get a player sent to the sin bin, and they score 2 tries. And in one of those tries in particular...
Well, they scored 2 tries
with 12 players.
What?
They scored 2 tries with 12 players. And one of those tries in particular, the Dragons look to shift the ball to the left, right? Damien Cook goes into the line. The Broncos' right-hand side defence move up. Damien Cook does like a full pirouette 360, comes back towards the middle of the ruck and ends up giving it to Gutherson. I think he passes, and then there's an offload back to Gutherson, and he goes over and scores. But the Broncos' defence on the middle and the right-hand side, when the ball goes away onto the other, they just stop and they don't move up. And then the Dragons come back to that space. That's where they get the offload. That's where they got the line break. That's where Gutho scores the try. It's like, far out, lads. Why don't you shut that gate? And I think Valentine Holmes said one of the Dragons players, and I'm paraphrasing here, basically said, we're coming up against the Broncos this week. We've just got to make sure that it's close because we'll get them in the end. Or words to that effect, which is
sounds like a pretty good.
Well, it's the game plan. It's the game plan that is working against the Broncos. If you hang on in, they'll go away. Dragons scored with a cheeky little scrum play, a carbon copy of the Ben Barber try for the Cronulla Sharks in the grand final.
One the Roosters did as well.
Yeah, yes, that particular play got them all ends up, and then they kind of got a little bit lucky to even come back into the contest when Gutho scored and they went 10 points up, and then they got a bit of fortune. Val Holmes slips over, leads to a line break, then they score in the corner, and the Broncos were coming home strong at that point, but with the build-up, I don't know if Marty Tapa'u gets that early release for liking a post. And
yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
It's clearly not an isolated issue.
Yeah, that's not a sackable offence.
No. So especially when you compare the Ezra Mam off-field situation.
Yeah.
And I think Selwyn Cobbo said some things on the podcast.
I saw Gordon Tellis said something about that.
It's like, where does that compare? So obviously, I think there's something in.
I always knew they were not going to go well because Madge snubbed Marty of the Kiwis jersey, and that's when he went to Samoa. So they already had. They've got history. Yeah, they've got history,
and sources are reporting that basically Marty doesn't like Madge's training style. As an elder front rower, I can understand how you maybe not want to be part of this harsh new regime that everybody has to go 100 miles an hour. Marty's experienced enough. He's not really in the team anyway. But when you're subjected to that, it can be a bit disheartening and can cause friction. But the spotlight now on the Broncos, that they are so thankful Origin's come along, because they were really poor yesterday, and this narrative of this soft underbelly or this stay in the contest and they will fade, it's not just a narrative, because the evidence is there. And even in the newspaper yesterday, there was a big spread about how this big interview with Madge Maguire, the Tapo incident, and then next to it you've got they're going to be the first NRL club to generate over $100 million. And it's like, well, that comes with the territory. So every decision that you do, if you take them on a harbour cruise to dial things down and then you lose, that's going to make news. If your training methods are deemed as being too harsh, that's going to make news.
Yeah.
So for you, like you've been coached by Maguire and you've had a number of amazing coaches. Is this the coach's fault, the player's fault? Does Madge need to change, or does he need to go harder and enforce his message?
Tough one. I feel like I also had the issues with Madge, and other players had issues with Madge.
What do you mean by issues with his training?
Well, just like personality clashes, training was hard, stuff like that. As Kiwis, when we were in Kiwis, because it's different. You feel like tour is that's different to being in it an NRL team with a full-time coach, and they were hard trainings compared to our other tours. You know what I mean? But we were half successful in a lot of our games. But I feel like once we got over the time under Madge, once we got over, and other players got over, I won't name, but once we got over that and we brought into what he was trying to do with us, and brought in and just really bit the bullet and just did everything, no complaints, that's when we started to elevate as a team. And maybe that's what needs to go on at the Broncos. Maybe few of them haven't brought into what Madge is about and what he stands for. Instead of seeing what the benefits are, you're looking at the negative side of things.
Yeah.
And that happens in every rugby league team. If you don't, say you're training a long day, you're upset at the coach for that. And then you grow this little bit of resentment towards the coach. That happens. That happened to me with Madge at the Kiwi. It was hard until you grow that little bit. But once you finally fucking go, oh, I'm actually getting paid well to do this, it's not that hard, I'm going to die. It's just hard compared to what the norm was. I reckon that's exactly what's going on at the Broncos. But that's just my opinion, and I feel like not all of them have brought into what he's about. What do you think about that?
That's an interesting insight, that about how that change.
It's a change, and I'm going to put it on the players.
For not buying into his methods,
yeah,
and maybe growing.
You're complaining about what your coach is teaching you. He's your fucking coach. He's your coach for a reason. You got to buy into what his system is, and if you've got half people buying in and half people not, your team's not going to function properly. You've got half the team complaining, and I don't know if this is going on, but I'm speaking from my experience. You've got half the team complaining about him, and you've got half the team that really excited that they've got a new coach that wants to win. And Madge wants to win. If anything, Madge he's fucking competitive.
Yeah.
And he hates losing. He's a hard bastard. He's a intense man, but at the end of the day, his goal aligns with your goal in winning games. He wants to win games. You want to win games. His method of winning games is taking the hard route. And if you're not buying into that hard route, you're not taking in, you're not with the team. You're not being team mentality.
You're right. So when hard training gets brought up, or he's a hard taskmaster, what is it? Because training hard means different things to different people. Are we talking the length of the training session? Are we talking the physical nature of the training session? Are we talking about endurance? Because
that's exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about longer sessions, say 2 hours, 2.5 hours out there. We're on a day that shouldn't be,
So a field session that's running for about 2 hours?
Yeah, well, I don't roughly.
Yeah.
Longer than norm, way more physical than norm. So the captain's runs at Kiwis, they were quite hard. They were tough. They were full.
This is the day before you play.
Yeah, but I don't think he's doing that at the Broncos. Like, I think this is a special set of circumstances. But, like, physicality-wise, he wants people to, man up. And some people don't. Like, I'll be honest, I probably didn't sometimes.
A lot of players don't like that the day before the game.
Not the day before the game, but even the other sessions. The contact sessions, they're harder than normal. They're longer than normal. Everything is tailored for you to be hard. And some players might not agree with that. But once you shift that mentality, and if the Broncos, if this is what they're going through, and they do shift that mentality, they will flourish under Madge.
Well, they're a young enough group, barring their halfbacks, to change and really ramp things up. And again, it's for the playing point of view, Cheese. Careful what you wish for. And obviously under Kevy, they didn't perform, and you could maybe look for the fact that was due to like some bad injuries at key points last year, and maybe that mental hangover of the 2023 grand final loss.
Yeah.
But then, it's kind of been reported that some of the senior players sort of nudged towards Kevy going and wanting this. But then if you want this as players, if you want to change a coach, you've got to buy into what this person brings because you've asked for it. And I'm sure, you've got to be sure that some of the players would have had a strong voice on Kevy moving on. So they've got to be the ones that drive this change.
Yeah, well, I can't, coming from where I've come from, I can't like fathom that. Like I can't just honestly feel like players don't. We shouldn't have any say on what the coach does.
I'm with you on that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're speaking up about it, like maybe you're the problem. Like that's how I feel, because I would never ever in my wildest dreams imagine anyone at Melbourne or anyone at Roosters or anyone at the Bunnies right now having a voice or opinion in who's coaching the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like that's not up to you, and that just tells me tells me a lot. And I like these are all spectacles, so I don't want to be but mate, we're playing for the team.
I can remember under Des it being incredibly long, maybe not as super physical, but the days were long. A lot of time in the theatre, in the education room, in terms of doing video, and they were super long days. That the level of like physical contact probably wasn't on that same level. But I can remember a point where when I was captain there, and even before that, where people would come to you as a senior player and be like, mate, we're doing too much. You need to speak to him. And even like when I was captain, I felt like a lot of the time I was spent putting out fires with people being like, oh, we're in again. We've not got the training. So Des was very protective of the training schedule and not knowing what we were doing. You're supposed to get it like 7 weeks in advance. And you'd be Thursday and you'd get Monday next week's training schedule. And you're like, well, you couldn't plan anything. And all these little things were just like,
yeah.
And then I'm even thinking about people like Carrigan, Haas, Reynolds. How many fires are they having to put out in the dressing room? Instead of bringing people along, how many complaints are they getting? But all that said, it's interesting, right? Ricky Stewart obviously has done an amazing job with Canberra this year. And I heard him say he had to change because he was riding the results too much. And that's exactly what Elijah Taylor accused Madge of, where every win was like brilliant. It felt like the tension was out the room, but every loss, it was like the morgue. Ricky Stewart said he was approached by his senior players and told, you need to stop. you need to stop riding this result so hard and being so down after a loss. And I can remember almost like saying, well, words to the effect of, well, maybe Ricky Stewart's right to be so invested. But obviously now upon reflection, because I was a emotional rider of the victory and the loss, and a lot of my coaches were, and I was a reflection of their personality in a way. But with Ricky changing and it getting results, is it maybe what Madge needs to do?
Yep. I don't know. I don't really know. I feel like he's definitely a result rider.
Yeah, but if Ricky Stewart can do it, if he can not.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like. I feel like Craig was really good at not writing results. The wins were good, but they weren't great. The losses were bad, but they weren't awful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you weren't getting sprayed after a loss.
Yeah.
It's more just, you know what I mean? It's just dim.
Mm.
And
but it's not the end of the world.
But it wasn't the end of the world. And it wasn't like everything's got to change. Maybe after like, I think we went three in a row. No, I don't think I yeah, we didn't really didn't lose too many. So, but yeah, it's definitely something that is probably a new age thing. And Madge is still in the old ways of coaching.
Okay, Cheese, it is time for our instant classic. We're going to be talking about the Bulldogs against the Sydney Roosters, which is proudly brought to you by our official sports apparel partner of the Buy Round, Classic Sportswear. Whatever your team, from internationals, NRL, Super Rugby, or the grassroots, sign up to Gear Like a Pro at classicsports.com.au today. What about this game, Cheese? The entertainment was incredible. Mark Nawaqanitawase with one of the best individual tries you're ever likely to see, but he backed it up with 6 errors. But focusing on that try, like it was. We've seen some amazing finishes. Xavier Coates this week, mark of the year.
That's try of the year, isn't it?
Which one, Mark? It's hard to look past. Like, it's hard to, I guess.
He looked like he didn't know what he was doing, but he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like, he was just so comfortable in that, like.
Yeah. In mid-air kick. Yeah.
The hop. What are they calling it? The skip hop.
It was in what an athlete.
Even the put down, like he dragged it from the outside of the field and put it in. And
keep his feet in as well. It was amazing. It really was. Like, what an athlete, what a player. Like, he
even
had
that flick pass, even though Robbie. Like,
ooh, yeah, Robbie Toia's, he can't do that in Origin. Jesus Christ. On the Nawaqanitawase, like, I think Coach Robertson spoke about the areas to fix up in his game in terms of kick defusal, which is workable and fixable. If you're rugby union or Australia rugby, are you proud of the fact that he's making an impact, or are you now worried that because he can do it, league will come after more union talent?
I'd be very worried.
You think that?
Yeah, not the proud. I'd be worried.
You're not, like, because I guess when people like Jason Robinson went across in rugby league in England and a few others, Andy Farrell, there was a sense of like, Sam Burgess, like, quite proud of the fact Benny Teo, like, League East can like go over there and dominate. But then there was also that, shit, they might come after a few more of the best league players.
Yeah, but the difference is there for me is they've got depth, whereas on the rugby side, if you're taking their rugby stars, they're not exactly loaded with depth.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Hence why Just Suwali is in the Wallabies.
Yeah.
Like, they need all. On a rugby point of view, they need all the stars they can get, and if we nick one of them, it can extremely detriment their ability to win.
I wonder if this opens the door for a few more raids on rugby. But just on the game itself, look, I was very proud of the Bulldogs' defence, like a couple of the chase backs just before the Collins try, the ability to just keep turning them away, like what it takes for a team to score against the Dogs is remarkable at times, especially with everything the Roosters threw at them. So I was at the game. I was very proud to be at the game. They did a big piece for a lot of their former captains, which was incredibly pleasing to be a part of. It felt weird being pitch side and standing in some of the positions where you used to stand as a player to kick off, even just being on the field. So that was great. And obviously the emotion of the occasion, the comeback win. But I went back and rewatched it, and I couldn't help but feel that it was a game the Roosters would feel they lost as opposed to the Bulldogs winning, and I kind of feel that way as well. You know, was it Butcher or was it Butcher that dropped the ball for the Sexton try?
They lost a lot of moments.
Yeah.
Little moments win you the game. Robbie Toia.
Yeah.
The Butcher one, like, they lost those moments. But the thing I noticed about the Bulldogs is they were winning the game. That's how I felt. They were winning the game. They were doing a lot of, like, they were fatiguing the shit out of Roosters. And in that first half, like, and Roosters were doing so good to turn them away, but it come out in the last 20. And they did it last week as well. Like, they just slowly burn you. And for some reason, I felt like the Bulldogs, they started slow and picked up, but they didn't stop their pace. Like the pace they played the game, it stayed consistent the whole way through. And it was Curtis Morin is the guy I was talking about last week. Did you know he's a Kiwi?
I didn't.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about.
He's awesome, mate.
Because he played for the Māori side.
Oh, yes, he did, yeah.
But yeah, he's just incredible. He's such a good player, especially coming off the bench, like fast leg speed. That's just their whole team is pretty much leg speed.
I thought Harry Hayes, they make Harry Hayes, but Bailey Hayward. What about that move he put on Lindsay Collins? That was special. Harry Hayes was awesome.
See, and the Bulldogs, they kicked a lot of 7 tackles in the first half, and that cost them.
Yeah.
But then second half,
Matt Burton's kick, like a lot of people go, why doesn't he do that every time? But it comes with such a range of unpredictability. Like, you don't get to pin the team in the corner and play the percentage game. That is like if Nawaqanitawase catches one of those balls in particular, it's like good field position for the Roosters to start their set, where if Burton just end over end kicked it into the corner, you can load up. But geez, I wouldn't fancy catching any of those bombs. Like, it's almost unfair.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost to the point where you think Steeden or the NRL would contact Steeden and say, can we change the ball so you can't do that? Because...
Mate, some of them were going out of the camera frame.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably eat them up. I'm actually really good under the high ball.
It's been good under the high ball, but those late dips, when it like fades away, you've got to...
And Marky Mark's a freak too. But they had a game plan, and it was bomb Marky Mark.
Bomb Mark, yeah. It paid dividends.
Combank's actually a tough stadium for high balls, because when the ball goes up, sometimes they've got these really bright lights that go around the whole stadium.
Really?
Like really bright. Yeah, because pre-warm up, catch some bombs. I don't know why. But like you saw, like it's like the ball going past that light there. It sort of goes past and then you lose it for a bit and then come down. And because you've been staring at the light, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's... I've
I
know what you're saying.
The whole thing has like lights.
I know exactly what you're saying, where different stadiums would be like that. Are you, where do you stand off the kickoff? Are you a catcher or are you on the front line?
I'm on the front line.
You're on the front line?
Yeah, I'm soldier on the front line, man.
Nice, that's the place to be. I think when I was front row, my rule to the catcher where you have to take this. Like, it is your responsibility. I am not even... the only way I'd attempt to catch is if it was going to go out on the full and I could put my foot on the line, touch the ball, and we'd get the ball back. Other than that, it was all catches. But it was a magnificent game. I think the Roosters certainly will feel like it was the one that got away, though. Before that game, geez, the Newcastle Knights served up some dreadful football against the Parramatta Eels. I said this in the midweek show that I felt as if the Knights were looking behind them as opposed to looking ahead after that loss to the Titans at home. They now have,
I watched some putrid stuff. I'll be honest.
They
Like they're just errors.
yeah,
Just like
they just can't get Ponga into the game. Their middle looks like they're struggling a little bit as well. Like, and I think O'Brien is safe for now. But if they can't find just some, not even results, just a performance, if they can't find a few performances that the heat is going to turn up. And obviously, there was a thing I read today about Joey Johns and O'Brien not seeing eye to eye on a number of issues, and that causing friction. And we know the weight of the Johns brothers in that town, but they were just so bad.
Yeah.
Lomax, amazing for Para. I think it's a bit of a what could have been had him and Moses been fit for the whole year. We've been going quite a while, Cheese, but we'll just finish off on the review of the Sharks against the Storm. What a game!
Yeah. See, I watched this game very closely. Oh, man. Sharks look so good in periods, don't they? Ronaldo Mulatalo. What would you do if you were...
I would try not get distracted by him. That's what I'd do. I'd try and ignore him, but I don't think I'd be very successful. And look, I spoke to Wade Graham, and he's like, mate, he's like that at training, and that's who Ronaldo is. And and I've met him, and he's such a polite person.
He is like that. He's like that in real life.
But he changes about who he is when he's on the field. He's so competitive, and that's his way of doing it. And there's more to the game than coming up with a game plan. It is about ignoring distraction. It is about that mental warfare. And what Ronaldo did on the weekend was all within the rules of the game pretty much. He got Ryan Pappenhausen, arguably the coolest cucumber and the coolest cat in the game, to go and do something that he doesn't normally do. If that game went to Golden Point, Ryan Pappenhausen's in the bin. The referee even said, Ryan, if I would have sin binned you for that. Because he got Ronaldo right at the end.
Yeah, did he get in trouble for that?
The game ended. The game ended, and the referee said, I think, the referee ended the game.
No, I watched that, but like...
did he get charged? I don't know. But he said he would have gone to the bin. Which, again, this is Ronaldo doing something for the benefit of his team, winding up the opposition players, getting Pappenhausen off his game. You never see Paps do that, ever.
No.
And he was clearly wound up by it. But in terms of the game itself, I kept thinking Melbourne were going to score and Pappenhausen was going to kick. It was obviously a 5-point deficit. I thought they were going to score right at the end when they shifted to Coates. But yeah, the Sharks just hang on in there. What about all that movement between where Coates, Ronaldo swapped sides, then Coates swapped back?
Yeah, that was genius.
That was brilliant to watch.
That was genius. Yeah. That was probably what won Sharks the game, because if they kept Atkinson on the wing there, it would, like Ronaldo was diffusing a lot of... for that last 5 minutes, he diffused 2 kicks. Yeah. And then he sort of diffused that try by sliding off. So, well played, Ronaldo. I don't mind it. He doesn't distract me because I just know him. Yeah. If you hang out with him for long enough, you're gonna hear that all the time, and you dilutes your Ronaldo dilution is what I'll call it. But
I thought Adam Fanua-Blake in particular was massive. Cam McInnes as well. Like his line speed on Nelson was insane. Yep. He ran to that. He sprinted off the line a couple of times. Actually got Nelson on his back with a little bit of help from his teammates. But the first contact was from Cam McInnes. I think it's a real statement victory for the Sharks and a huge confidence builder. Nico Hines playing some of his best football in a long time. I think he's really benefited, and he's spoken about not being in the Origin conversation. Like, the best thing for Nico is Moses and Cleary staying fit. If they stay fit through Origin, Hines doesn't come into the conversation, and then he can play his best football for Cronulla. I think they'll take a lot out of that victory for Melbourne, and it sort of really shakes up the top makeup of the ladder, where I think most people fancied Storm for minor premiers. But I think with that loss and a couple of others, and now with Origin.
Well, what's the points? It's like 20, 18,
I think they've
14,
I think
14?
they've lost. I think they've lost 4 now. Melbourne Storm. I don't go off the points. I just go off the
wins.
The
Storm 20, Warriors 18, Raiders 16, Storm 14.
yeah. So Storm are 6 wins, 4 losses. So yeah, I think after 10 games they'll struggle to make the minor premiership theirs now. But yeah, there's a lot to like about the Sharks when they play like that. I think Atkinson off the bench was enormous, and even Sifa Talakai coming in, a great victory for the Sharks and a real confidence boost there. Apologies to those teams that we've not got to review, but obviously the news of New South Wales and Queensland, obviously Warriors fans, one they maybe got away with a couple of decisions that went their way with the Roger Tuivasa-Sheck no knock on. So Warriors fans, maybe us not reviewing that, we've let you off the hook. And the Tigers Souths game was a great victory for Souths.
We're still up the wires here though, Jimmy.
Oh man, I'm all about the Wars. I think if they can finish in the top 4, they could give it a red hot crack. They've Luke Metcalf again. What a player! That little short kick in behind the regather, amazing piece of rugby league football. But that's all we've got time for today. Cheese. Enjoy this week at the Bunnies. Enjoy that test.
Thank you.
If you do it again, it's been great to see you all in black as well.
Yeah.
Very smart.
I was in Bunnies kit.
You should have come in your kit. Why not?
I think you're not allowed.
You're not allowed. Are you? Oh no.
No, do you know what? Actually, you would be allowed because you guys are sponsored by Classic,
Yes.
who is the apparel for
Yeah.
the great South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Yeah. Do you get funny about wearing your training kit in public?
No.
See,
Just on the show, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. See, I used to hate.
See, there's a lot of, because I remember Dylan Harper and Angus Crichton got in trouble. They did that Bitter Beer advert.
Oh yeah.
And they
yeah.
were wearing Roosters kit, and it was a big no-no.
Yeah. So yeah, don't wear your kit. But I used to get anxious about wearing my kit outside of training. Like I didn't like to be seen in.
Oh yeah, I don't I don't mind. I don't care if I'm wearing like shorts or something, but if I'm wearing a shirt,
Yeah.
that's like coloured.
Like if I had my Dogs or Dragons or St. Helens training kit on, I had to stop and get petrol. I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, no, I can't go in my I can't go. Like, if someone sees you, you're like, play for the Dogs, do you? Like, like.
That's always the chatter. How proud.
Yeah. And you are proud, but you just don't want to be almost seen to be showing off.
Flamboyant.
A couple of the young St. Helens players used to purposely get about town in their kit, which for ulterior motives, like make sure everyone knows.
Ulterior.
Yeah. Some of them used to. I remember this one lad. We played a game. We'd all go out after the game. He came to the game in his tracksuit and he went home to put his club suit on to go out on the night out, so that everyone knew that he was like part of the first team. It's like we know what you're doing that for, my friend. All right, cheese. Take it easy, mate. Thanks for listening, everyone.